I don't know what the hair situation is today, but I'm really winded. Oh my god. Ignore that. Hi universe, I'm Cass. I try to make this the summer I start reading again because I do love to read, but I'm so busy. I'm actually like a really important person. I try to make this the summer I start reading again, and then I got super busy and was like traveling every freaking day, and then school starting in like 2 weeks. I move in. Today's August 3rd when I'm recording. I move in 16 days. Scary. Ew. Oh no. Anyways, I read some books. Let's talk about them. So the first book that I read this summer, some of these were in my June favorites video, but I'm gonna repeat them. The first book I read this summer was A Court of Thorn and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Post reading this book, I have heard some not great things about the author and allegedly what she have said and done. I am not an expert on that topic. I don't know a lot. I can't give my input and my expert opinion. I just read the book and then found out and was like, oh dear. So, I don't know, I could be wrong. I don't want to discourage anyone. Do your own research and look into that. I did not get to pre-recording this video. That's on me. Court of Thorn and Roses takes place in this universe where there's fairies, and before the course of the story, there was a war that happened between the humans and the fairies, and now it has divided the world into kingdoms where you have the human land and then you have the different courts. Court of Thorn and Roses. You have a different court for each of the fairy lords, and our main character Feyre, don't ask me to pronounce her name, I cannot pronounce it. I think it's Feyre. I've read this book. I promise I read this book. The story starts with our character Feyre, who kind of has to hunt so her and her family can survive, and she's out hunting in the woods one day and finds what she thinks is a wolf and kills it, and it's actually like a fairy high lord, and this other high lord comes in, this fairy comes in and is like, you actually killed my friend, you murderer, and because of the treaty, I now own you. You're my prisoner. And she's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna stuck here for the rest of my life, I guess. Fucking hate this. The story takes place kind of in his court of fairies, and he lives in the spray court. His name is Tamlin, I believe you pronounce it. I'm really bad at names, guys. Tamlin's like this lord, he owns the court. I'm gonna get into my opinion at this point. Nothing wrong with the overall book. I don't want to like put my own personal matters into it. It is giving the Beauty and the Beast trope, and that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. A lot of stories do that exact thing of, oh, she like trespassed, or like the dad trespassed, someone trespassed, and now she's a prisoner to this like really rich dude who lives in a really fancy estate, and there's a curse, but she doesn't know about the curse. No one tell her. We're not allowed to tell her, and she has to fall in love with me, but we can't tell her. And also all of the servants are gonna treat her like an idiot for not realizing that sooner. So, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I didn't realize it probably till the end of the book, which, major spoilers in this video, oh my god. When Tamlin gets kidnapped and brought into the mountain because there's like a fairy war going on and people are getting killed, and he kind of becomes the queen with, I don't remember her name. She's important, but she dies, whatever the evil person's name is. It wasn't until that point where I was like, oh, this is the Beauty and the Beast trope, and he has a heart of stone and she has to free him. Okay, that's where this is going. They're gonna be fine. They're gonna end up happily ever after. No one's gonna die. I figured that out very fast. I did not know this was like a spicy book that like Book Talk talks about, and I was like, oh shoot, what did I just buy? And then I read it and I was like, there's not really spice in this book. I think there was like 2 chapters. Like, I think it was like chapter 47, 49, and then there was like a chapter kind of middle of the book. Oh, another thing that bothered me. I talked about this in my June's favorites video, like really briefly. She gets the riddle. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna find this riddle. I'm looking this up. Where is my phone? I had seen people talking about the riddle before reading this book for the first time. I had heard about it, heard that there was a riddle, and like I would see videos where people would read the riddle to other people and see if they can get it. I'm gonna read y'all this riddle if no one's read the book yet. So major spoilers. There are those who seek me a lifetime, but we never meet, and those who I kiss but trample beneath my ungrateful feet. At times I seem to favor the clever and the fair, but I bless all those who are brave enough to dare. By large, my ministrations are soft-handed and sweet, but scorned. I become a difficult beast to defeat, for though each of my strikes lands a powerful blow, when I kill, I do it slow. I'm gonna let y'all in on a little secret. I was an honors kid. I'm really good at reading comprehension. English was always my top class, and I always had like an average of like a 97 in English my entire life. If someone gives you a riddle, the answer is probably love or something stupid like that, unless this is Turing dot. But 99.9% of the time, the riddle is like love. friendship, happiness. And it's like, I get the whole point of it is supposed to be like, oh, the one thing Feyre is really bad at is reading. She can't read, she can't write. So of course, the woman that kidnaps her love interest, Tamlin, is gonna pick that as like the thing that's gonna kill her. And this is what also made me mad, because I'm like, you're telling me you couldn't answer the riddle, but she overheard multiple people refer to Tamlin as having a heart of stone. And then she's like, oh, he literally has a heart of stone. I would have been like, I'm not testing that theory. I'm not putting his life on the line. Hell no. Interesting. I'd probably give this like a 4 out of 5 stars, maybe like 4.5. It was pretty good. So the next book I read is a book called The Mystery Guest by Gregory Boulier, I believe. It's French. I wanted to get out of the fantasy sci-fi category. You're gonna see that with all the books I read this summer. And I kind of wanted to get more to like essays, realism, realistic fiction, true stories. And my favorite bookstore, McNally Jackson, shout out to them, support them. They're all over New York City. They're literally in like Manhattan and Brooklyn. So this is a really short read and I really liked it. I'm not a realism girl, but I loved it. It's about this guy and it's based on a true story, and he's talking about how he was in a relationship with this woman and they loved each other very deeply. And then one day she was just sort of like, this isn't working, I'm out. And they had like a 5-year relationship or a 2-year relationship. It was a really long-term relationship. And he's like in the present and he's like, I'm finally over it. Yippee. And then out of nowhere she calls him and he's like, oh, she better be calling to apologize to me because she like really messed me up. And then she's like, hey, my best friend's having this party and she's like avant-garde and she invites a mystery guest and it has to be someone she doesn't know and you just have to bring a present. And the guy's like, well, what the fuck? Why would you call me to ask for that? If overthinking was a book, this is it. He's literally overthinking like, oh, maybe like she's still in love with me and that's why she called me. Oh, maybe she is gonna finally say she's sorry. Maybe she's gonna make it up to me. I don't know. Dude goes to the party. Everyone there is a cliche asshole. You know when you go into a bookstore and you go past the philosophy section and there's always a guy in a white button-up and black slacks talking to a girl and he's quoting philosophy to her and she's like, oh my god, like wow, and she's so amazed by him. Yeah, that's the room full of people. That's very oddly specific, but I've been to many bookstores where I've seen that exact event play out. Fuck philosophy men. They're the worst. Find out at the end of the book that she actually kind of was still in love with him and that like she actually invited him because she did want to try to make it work. It doesn't. I did enjoy it though. It's a very short read. I think I read it in like an hour, 2 hours. It's only like 90 pages, 89 pages. And it was cute because it's a realistic book. So it's sort of like, oh, sometimes good things do happen. And sometimes these crazy stories that you hear, they are real. I think it was also really cool because at the end of the book, the woman whose party it is reaches out to him and contacts him and they like end up becoming really close. I think that's cool. I don't remember because it's been a little bit, I'm pretty sure they like have a thing going on. Honestly, this is a pretty good book. Probably like 3.5, 4 stars. No, 4 stars, 4 out of 5 stars. I don't remember what I gave it on Goodreads. That was a fun book. Remember how I said I wasn't gonna read a lot of fantasy fiction stuff this summer? I lied. I read Vicious by V.E. Schwab, I'm pretty sure is how you pronounce the last name. This book, this might be like one of my favorite books I read this summer. Like this is, I wanna say like top 2. This one was crazy. I was not expecting this. Because when I read the summary, I was expecting like best friends, dark academia, they develop superpowers and then they like have to rely on each other to keep secrets. No. It goes back and forth from the past and present, but of what we know from the present, from what's told, best friends have to do a senior thesis in med school, decide they're gonna do about near-death experiences and adrenaline, and they try to themselves and bring themselves back from the dead. So they have to revive each other. They come back with powers. There's the main villain of the story, Eli, who when he comes back, he can kind of heal himself, and like no matter how many times you like shoot him and stab him, stuff like that, his body keeps regenerating, and he thinks that it's a sign from God that he's like the next savior or something. It's really weird. And then Victor gets a little jealous and is like, no, that's not fair, because they try it on Victor first and it does not work and he gets sent to the ER. So he tries to himself with Eli's girlfriend, and then he accidentally kills Eli's girlfriend because he develops the ability to just induce pain so hard it can just kill you, and he can like control pain levels on people. And then Eli's like, I'm calling the police, you're going to jail. And then Victor evades the police because they can't really prove anything, and then he tries to kill Eli, and then Eli goes, I'm calling the police. And then the story takes place in the present. Like 10 years later, Victor escapes prison with a cellmate, and they pick up a girl, like this like little girl on the way who also has powers. And they are like, we're gonna kill Eli. We're gonna get revenge. I hate him. Let's do this. And oh my gosh, it's so crazy because it's like he convinces everyone that he's the good guy and like he's really the hero of the day, versus Victor is like, there is no one good in this game, which I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. Very mature. I think the twist at the end I was not expecting, because major spoilers. Eli essentially gets himself a girlfriend named Serena, and her ability is that she can just like control people. Like she'll say something and everyone has to do it, and they can't break the sort of spell she puts on them. And I knew they were gonna do this, but they kill her first, which is smart because she essentially convinces the entire police department that Eli is a hero and he's a savior and they have to work with him. And that's how he gets all the files, and he starts killing all these other people with powers. And they kill her first. Good. She pissed me off. Get her out of here. They actually, like, I was not expecting Victor to die. I didn't think Victor was actually gonna die. What? Victor dies, and as soon as like the police show up, the ending I was not expecting, because I forgot that Serena had them under like a little trance. So the police show up and they arrest Eli, and he's freaking out because he's like, guys, like, I did it. I killed Victor. Why are we freaking out? And then he goes to jail, and then it's revealed like, oh my gosh, this guy killed like hundreds of people. He's a mass murderer. Like, prison forever, prison for life. And you know what? Good. Jail his ass. Hated him. So I really liked that ending. And also, major spoiler for the ending, Victor does get revived. I loved this book. It took so many twists. I had to like take a lap. Every time I read a chapter, I was like, I gotta take a walk. This is too much. It just hurt my brain because I was like, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? Honestly, 5 stars. This is probably like one of the best books I've read. The next book. So this one I read while reading Vicious, because Vicious just got so dark and heavy and talked about the concept of life and death, and the idea that like people who have these near-death experiences can kind of become apathetic and just lose all emotion and feeling. So I was like, hey, I need something kind of funny and stupid, and what is something that's gonna like make me not feel sad? A rom-com! I'm not a rom-com person. I don't read romantic novels, romance books. That's not me. I'm not into that. I love fiction and kind of gothic, I guess, is the genre. Fantasy, stuff like that. I enjoy that so much more. So I was like, let me like really go out of my wheelhouse. This is The Night Shift by Annie Crown. It's such a cliche book, but I do kind of love it because it's so stupid and cliche that I love it. Basically, the main character's name is Kendall, and she works at a library, and it's like kind of midterm season, so like people are going like in and out, writing papers, looking for stuff, and she's working the front desk when lo and behold, the school like basketball star Vincent walks in and is like, I need help looking for a book to write my paper on. And then she's like, yeah, let me help you. And they fall in love. And the story ensues of like, can a nerd and a jock be in love? Y'all, I knew this book was gonna get a little steamy. I knew that going into it. I was like, whatever, I need something to laugh at right now. Like 15 pages in the library when they first meet. What? What? That I was not expecting. I was really shocked by that, to say the least. Okay, great. I do like the character writing though. My least favorite trope is the miscommunication trope of just they didn't want to talk to each other, they didn't want to explain their feelings, and they broke up or they stopped being friends or they got in a fight because they didn't know how to communicate. I think communication is so important and it's such an easy way to solve your problems. They actually handle it very well because the main character Kendall has like really actually good friends who are like, what do you mean? Like you saw him talking to his friends laughing at you and you thought they were making fun of you. Girl, miscommunication is the worst trope in a book. Talk to him. And I was like, oh, thank God, because I could not deal with like another 100 pages of like them avoiding each other. I would kill someone. Yeah, I do like this book. It was like really stupid, but they made it like he wasn't like a jerk and like a tough guy. Like he was just like genuinely like golden retriever boyfriend, like super nice, taking care of her. And like the whole thing was like he was the nervous one who didn't know how to ask her out, so that's why everything was really awkward, and that's why his friends were always around looking at her and pointing at her, because they were being like, oh, that's the girl, and like they were giving him pep talk on how to ask her out. And I was like, see, that's nice. The miscommunication of it got solved. It wasn't like anything super weird, and it wasn't like, my friends hate you, they think you're a nerd. It was just innocent college romance. and she meets his parents, so that's always cute. It's very cozy. It's a very cozy book, low-key. I love a good cozy book. It takes place on a college campus during like the fall semester. It's in a library and they go to a lot of bookstores and they go to a lot of coffee shops, and it was really cute. It's a good like during the school year book to read. Honestly, controversial. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. It was really good. Like, it was really sweet, really funny. It had funny little bits in it, and it wasn't like sort of cringy funny. Like, it was genuinely enjoyable. The last book I read so far this summer is called Other Birds by Sarah Addison Allen. This one circles a lot about the topic of death and loved ones and starting new again, but it does so in such a way that isn't super heavy or upsetting. Like, it's genuinely just a really cozy book. The main character Zoe moves to a town called Mallow Island in South Carolina before the start of her freshman year of college, and she moves into her deceased mother's old apartment to sort of like get closer and connect to her. And she has this sort of ghost attached to her that acts like a bird, so she calls it Pigeon. And the two of them move into this town, and there's like a whole cast of characters of people who have their own ghosts that they've suffered with in the past. And about a week into her living there, probably a day within her living there, someone at one of the houses nearby dies, and she's given the task of going through all this stuff, and she learns about this local author on the island that's really famous, and she learns about this woman's son and her life and her sister, and there's some sort of mystery going on where someone's been breaking into all of the houses, and she thinks it might be the sister of the deceased woman. And you actually get like the ghost's perspective, which is really cool. You just see how all these characters intertwine to meet each other, and they're all from such different backgrounds and have had to suffer in their own ways and struggle in order to become the person they are now. And it's really sweet because the character's always like the youngest one of the cast, and they're all parents to her, and they're all like a shoulder for her to cry on because her dad does not like her, nor does her stepmom. I really liked this book. It was like another super cozy read, and it's just so nice. And it's like local town, small town, walkable city, befriending your neighbors, and coping with trauma in a way that isn't super dark and scary, and thinking about things in a more happy, upbeat manner, and being able to move past that and grow. There was like a major plot twist, and it's that the character Charlotte, she grows up in a cult, and you find out that her name's not actually Charlotte, and the real Charlotte died, and she took her identity to escape from the cult. And that, I literally was like, what? Like, that I was not expecting. That was crazy. That was so insane to me. I was not expecting that out of all the things that happen in this book. And it's like a last minute twist because you find out the woman that's been breaking into the condos is her mother, who knows that she like escaped the cult and stole the money from this weird priest that was running it, and is like, I'm gonna get you arrested, and tries to kill her. And I was like, whoa, this got crazy. And then fortunately the deceased woman's sister, I think her name is Lucy, I'm forgetting, stops her, and it's like the one time you see her in the entire story. I really liked this book. I like, hate when books get really dark when it comes to the topic of death. I hate talking about death. I'm awkward. I'm not good at that. I am an existentialist by nature, and it's just really nice. I like the vibe of it. I definitely would give this 5 stars. This is a really good book, and it's one of those books that you read and it changes a little bit of your perspective on life and death and just people and social dynamics. Yeah, I read these books. Anyways, these are the books I read this summer. My camera is about to overheat. Oh no. I hope you enjoyed. Read a book. Tell someone you love them. Do something new today. And I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.